Hello everyone. Good morning to one and all present over here. On behalf of Faculty of Commerce, Parul University, I Professor Arpan Patel welcome you all in the webinar. It is said that there are three things to aim in the public speaking. First, to get into the subject, your subject, then to get your subject into yourself, and lastly, to get your subject into your heart of your audience. With that, we have the webinar on the topic of adaptability to change as a skill in the 21st century. Before starting the session, I would like to introduce our expert speaker of the today's webinar. Our expert is Dr. Jamin Trivedi sir. He is a managing trustee of Rudra Foundation as well as teacher, trainer, and social activist. He has done his BCom, MCom, MPhil, and PhD from Sardar Patel University and currently pursuing in the law department. He also published many research papers in national and international journals. He also published several books like Sparking Idea of Life, Fundamental of Strategic Management, Fundamental of Cost and Accounting, etc. He is contributing from preschools to PG levels in the area of academics. He is also organizing social welfare projects for upliftment of various segments of the society. He also organizing social welfare project for upliftment of various segments of societies. He also serving as a director of My Dream School, which is known as 21st Century Preschool of Children's, right, and working at the local level for elevating grassroots levels education, imparting knowledge among the tiny tots. Without taking much time, I would like to request our Genuine sir to address our event. Over to Genuine sir.
Thank you very much, Arpan sir. And I would like to thank the Dean of Faculty of Commerce, Ajay sir, as well as the whole team for organizing such kind of wonderful webinar series for imparting training and knowledge among the next generation regarding the contemporary issues in the area of commerce and management. So thanks to all the faculty members and the team of management, as well as congratulations to all the participants who have participated with their enthusiasm, full of enthusiasm. So I am going to start my presentation, but before that, I would like to brief you about what we are going to learn during this particular session. So friends, we are going to learn about the relevance of the adaptability to change. What is that? Then what is to be changed, how it is to be changed, and why it is to be changed, right? So that is what we are going to learn. That will be the learning outcome of this session. So friends, we are very much starting with the relevance of the adaptability to change, and we are very much aware about the VUCA world, right? VUCA stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. So friends, we don't know what will happen in near future, and many type of changes are going to be incorporated in the system, in the product, process, and pedagogies. And that is why we must have the adaptability to change, to survive, as well as to compete in the global community in the 21st century world. So friends, what is VUCA? Starting with the acronym, VUCA was first introduced in 1991 by the US Army as a result of the extreme weather condition in Afghanistan and Iraq. So these conditions were totally new and totally changed the nature of the warfare. Unsurprisingly, today's business environment has changed in a very similar way. So like warfare, business in the 21st century will never be the same again. And that is why 20th century rules, economics, and the dynamics have become obsolete and will continue to change. So friends, ये तो बुका जो एक्रोनिम है उसके बेस पे हमने ये कंक्लूड किया कि भाई चेंज इज द ओनली थिंग विच इज कांस्टेंट इन द वर्ल्ड. बट ऐसा गीता में भी कृष्ण भगवान ने भी बोला है कि परिवर्तन ही संसार का नियम है. वैसे माना जाए तो ये परिवर्तन, ये जो बुका के बेस पे हम लोग जो कंक्लूड कर रहे हैं वो तो कई वर्षों से, कई युगों से ये बात चली आ रही है. So friends, this is what the VUCA world. And if we won't be able to change ourselves, then we'll be thrown out from the market, right? So now, rather to go for the lecture kind of discussion, I want your interactive participation. So friends, I think my presentation is visible to all. And what do you observe based on this model? आप में से कोई बोलना चाहेगा कि ये मॉडल के बेस पे आपका ऑब्जर्वेशन क्या है? आपको ये टूल दिखाई दे रहा है ना? Everyone, hello everyone. Am I audible to all?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what do you observe? If it is possible for you, then you can switch on your cameras and you can take part in the discussion so as to make this session interactive and more fruitful to all the students. So what do you observe based on this model of Nokia? Anyone would like to throw light on the features or anything? Hello. Yes. Anyone?
Yeah, Jamin sir, good morning.
Yes. Good morning.
Sir, it's a model of Nokia 3315.
Okay. And what is the difference between this particular model and the current models of the cell phones?
Sir, earlier there were keypads, mobiles, instruments are there, and right now we have so many configurations inside the smartphones. So these are the basic difference.
Okay. Anyone else? और कोई बोलना चाहेगा? So friends, this is basically Java based phone, and when Android came into the market, was thrown away, and this mobile phone, the management, the company of this phone was not ready to incorporate the changes required based on the changing scenario of the telecommunication industry. So friends, right now whatever we are doing, such kind of training sessions like virtual meetings, seminar, conferences, etc., that is being done with the help of the updated new version of Android cell phones, right? So the change which was required was supposed to taken place, but due to absence of such kind of changes, this particular instrument was thrown out of the market. So this is this is what we can say, the relevance, the importance of the change, and why it is required to be incorporated. There are so many examples. Say for example, these are the examples uh, of rejection due to the inadaptability. uh, Blockbuster, which was crushed by Netflix, then Dell, which was overridden by mobile devices. Kodak, हमें पता है कि भी कोडेक की एड कैसी आती थी, कि उसकी फ्रीक्वेंसी कितनी थी, right? Kodak, which lost track of the digital era. Then Microsoft, which fell asleep when web TV, e-book, smartphones, and tablets took over. Then Motorola, which got outmaneuvered by the smartphones. Then Sony, which focused on the hardware in a time when software took the upper hand, leaving space for Samsung, Apple, and other to run away with its market. Then Yahoo, which fell asleep when Google was inventing and making numerous smart moves. So, friends, these are so many examples. Even you can also take the example from the automobile sector. See, for example, previously one of the model of PR, Ambassador, right? Nowadays it is not visible, right? आपको वो कहीं पे भी दिखाई नहीं देगा. Why? Because even they were not ready to incorporate the various types of changes to modify the model, and that is why due to the changing preferences of the customer, it was left over, right? So these all are the examples. So we know very well this is the legendary personality, Steve Jobs, and he has rightly said that we are here to put a dent in the universe. Otherwise, why else even be there? हमें मालूम है कि इसके साथ क्या हुआ था. He was the founder of the Pixar and Next, और उसको फिर उसमें से बाहर निकाल दिया गया था. लेकिन जो उसका जो पैशन थी, उसका जो डिवोशन, उसका जो कमिटमेंट था, राइट, उसका जो एटीट्यूड था, वो उसकी वजह से उसने क्या किया, बाउंस बैक. So Steve Jobs used adaptability to overcome the failure. So that is why the adaptability is very much essential in the today's world. If we are not able to cope up with the changing situation because of the lack of the skill of adaptability, then we won't be able to survive, we won't be able to compete in the global market. So that is what we need to understand based on this wonderful example of this fellow, Steve Jobs, a legend. Okay, now my question to all: am I an adaptable person? Ask this question to yourself. Are you adaptable? What do you think? Any one of you would like to give answer? What do you think? Are you an adaptable person? Yes or no? Let us make this session interactive. Right? अगर इंटरेक्शन ज्यादा होगा तो उसकी जो इफेक्टिवनेस है, ये जो ट्रेनिंग है, इसकी जो इफेक्टिवनेस है वो ज्यादा आएगी. तो आप में से कोई बोलना चाहेगा? व्हाट डू यू थिंक? आर यू एडेप्टेबल, यस और नो?
Yes, sir. We are adaptable. I am adaptable person.
ओके, सो और कोई बोलना चाहेगा? We have a good number of participants, so if you want to speak on this particular question. Okay, so friends, yes, one of your classmate replied that she is adaptable. So can you share your experience that about a time when you have successfully handled a major change at work? Because as you replied that you are adaptable, right? So what kind of change you have handled successfully at your workplace? Means right now you are studying at the Parul Institute, right, which is a very good institution, renowned institution, vibrant institution, and constantly and significantly uh, imparting knowledge so as to concentrate on the all-round development of the students. So I know that you all are very active, very smart, being a part of this renowned institution of the region.
Sir, actually, I'm a faculty over here. Basically, I'm from South India. Okay, so Tamil Nadu. So this is first time I'm coming to out of Tamil Nadu, which means I'm coming out of Tamil Nadu and I'm working in a new environment. So the first challenge and foremost challenge is environment is new, language is new, people is new to me, and the surrounding is also new. And I am not joining in the beginning, I'm joining in the middle. So on first I feel very difficulty, but I learned a lot of things over here, and now when adapt to this situation, I'm trying to do all the activities very well as compared to first day or second day or the first day. So this drastic, I never think that whether I can able to work here, whether I have a capacity, whether I can able to handle all the people and the language, everything. But now I can able to understand the people, what they are conveying me, what they are talking with me, everything. Even I have a language barrier, but by making conversation with each and everyone, I can able to understand all the concepts behind it. So that change I adopt in work environment.
So congratulations to you, because it shows your skill of adaptability, and I really appreciate that you left over You left your comfort zone and you come to the Parul institution for your academic enhancement. Yes, anybody else would like to share his or her experience regarding the change which he or she has handled at any point of time at their workplace or at the social life? I think so far as the workplace is concerned, we all are considered as an adaptable. Why? Because we know that the grassroots level changes are there in the teaching learning pedagogy, and we know that how we have transformed from classroom based teaching to the virtual teaching learning, right? And we have adapted this mechanism to ensure the teaching learning process and academic development of the students. So it shows our skill of adaptability, right? It was rightly said by Brian Harbert that the capacity to learn is a gift. Then ability to learn is a skill, and willingness to learn is your choice. So we all are having willingness, and we are here by our choice, and that is the part, and that is the pride for all of us, right? So now we need to learn three things: what to change, how to change, and why to change. So previously we have understood what is the relevance of the skill of adaptability to change in the 21st century. Right? Now we have to learn three things: what is to be changed, how it is to be changed, and why it is to be changed. So starting with the first one, you tell me first of all, what is adaptability? Any one of you would like to throw a glance through, would like to throw light on the concept of adaptability? Adaptability हम किसको बोलेंगे? Anyone?
Adapting to the situation where we are, able to manage the situation.
Okay. Yes. और कोई? Anybody else? और कोई बोलना चाहेगा? What is adaptability? Can we say that adaptability is flexibility? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, we can say.
Okay. So, so far as my experience and my opinion is concerned, adaptability is more than being flexible. So, what is flexibility? Flexibility क्या है कि कोई भी कंडीशन में कोई भी चीज को आप खींचोगे और उसके बाद वो कंडीशन में से जब वो चीज बाहर आएगी तो वो एज इट इज हो जाएगी. Say for example, elastic, right? But what is adaptability? In a particular situation, you are learning something, and then later on the continuous basis, you are implementing that particular thing for the betterment of your organization, for the improvement of your efficiency and productivity. That is what the adaptability is, right? And that is why adaptability is something more than the flexibility, and that is what we need to understand based on the situation. Say for example, during this particular course of pandemic, what we have done, we have uh, changed the teaching learning pedagogy, and we have shifted ourselves from the classroom teaching to the virtual teaching, right? अब in future ऐसा कुछ होगा कि ऐसी कोई इश्यूज या तो कोई डिजास्टर आया और उसकी वजह से अगर सिलेबस हमारा कुछ बाकी है तो वी कैन switch over to the virtual teaching learning mechanism, right? And we can complete our syllabus and we can ensure our academic work. So that is what the adaptability is, more than being flexible, right? Okay. Now, why Adaptability is the most important skill for 21st century success. This have been already discussed previously uh, in the part of the relevance. We know that the 21st century world means VUCA world, wherein number of rules, regulations, protocols, pedagogies are required to be framed and reframed, right? And if we need to cope up with the changing scenario of all these things, then we must have the skill of adaptability to survive and to get success in the 21st century. Because friends, now it's a global village, and to compete in the global community, we must have a skill of adaptability. That means to cope up with the changing scenario. Okay. Further, we know that multiple generations in the society, workplace and at home. जैसे हमने देखा ना तो भाई why adaptability? So multiple generations are there in the society, workplace and at the home. Their behavior, their culture, their perception, their mindsets are different, right? And definitely many a times it has been observed that the conflict arises due to the generation gap. ये हमने कई बार सुना है, राइट? तो ये जो जनरेशन गैप है उसको रिफिल करने के लिए we should have a skill of adaptability, right? So that is the first point which we need to understand, that multiple generations in the society, workplace and at home. Then yes, valuable I. Valuable I means what? To create your transfer value, which is very much essential in this cutthroat competition of the world. So what is that? What do you observe, or what would you interpret based on this image? ये image के base पे आप क्या interpret करोगे? Anyone would like to throw light on the image? Anyone? See, basically the purpose of such kind of webinar series is to create an insight among the next generation, even to improve their public speaking skill, to improve their understanding, and that is only and only possible when you are participating in the discussion. So friends, what would you interpret based on this particular image, valuable I, and what is the importance of I factor?
Here we can say I can do it with I am adapt to every situation, and I have a determination that I can do that.
Okay. Anyone else? और कोई बोलना चाहेगा? यहाँ पे आपको बहुत सारे बल्ब दिखाई देते होंगे और उसमें जो एक बल्ब है वो चालू है, बाकी सब बंद पड़े हैं. वो क्यों? Because their skill becomes obsolete. Why? Because of the changing scenario of the world, right? अब friends, यहाँ पे what we need to understand is that we are supposed to create our learning attitude, right? We are supposed to create our transfer value, right? So what is transfer value? What is that? See, based on your transfer value, you can survive and you can compete in the market. So what is that? Transfer value means that the organization will not have any kind of option of you. आपका एक ऐसा काम जो सिर्फ आप ही कर सकते हो, बराबर? तो that will create your transfer value, right? That will show your competence, that will show your X factor, बराबर? और वो जो ट्रांसफर वैल्यू है वो भी आपको बढ़ानी होती है. क्यों? क्योंकि देखो ये जितने भी बल्ब है ना वो सब प्रकाश दे सकते हैं, ऐसा नहीं है, बट ड्यू टू चेंजिंग सिचुएशन एंड सर्कमटेंसेस, आप अपनी ट्रांसफर वैल्यू को कैसे चेंज करते हो, कैसे बढ़ाते हो, योर वैल्यू एंड इंपॉर्टेंस इज बेस्ड ऑन दैट, right? So that is what the valuable I. So you need to identify your potential, and based on your potential you can develop a strategy to glorify yourself in the market. That is valuable I, right? And what is required, your learning attitude is very much essential, then your constant efforts is very much essential, then your all round development is very much essential, right? All these things will make uh, yourself very competent in this global world, right? So that is what the valuable I, मतलब कि कोई परिस्थिति चेंज होती है, फॉर एग्जांपल ये जब क्लासरूम टीचिंग में से वर्चुअल टीचिंग पे जब सब लोग आए थे, तो जो ओल्ड एज प्रोफेसर्स थे, दे वर नॉट एबल टू हैंडल दिस सिचुएशन, right? Or they were not having hands on the particular kind of strategy, the teaching pedagogy, right? So that is what the lack of learning attitude. Then yes, how can you improve your adaptability skill? वो आप कैसे improve कर पाओगे? So there are several steps which are required to be uh, followed by the students as well as the employees as well as the organizations, right? सबको ये जो steps है वो follow करने हैं, but so far as you people are concerned, what kind of steps are required to be followed by ourselves, that we are going to understand. So the first one is open your mind. So friends, whenever you are in a critical situation, then you will have various types of options, and which one is to be selected by you, that is based on your mindset, right? कई बार क्या होता है, से फॉर एग्जांपल कि मार्केट में अगर कोई कॉम्पिटिटर की एंट्री होती है, तो यू विल हैव टू काइंड ऑफ perception that your market share will decline, right? This is what we can say negative mindset, because you will have fear in your mind that because of the entry of your rival, your market share will decline. And the another mindset is that if your rivals are competent, then you will be able to understand, or you will be able to learn something new which will improve the efficiency and effectiveness as well as profitability of your organization. So always in all the situation you will have two options, and it's up to you. It depends on your mindset that which option you are going to select. So that is based on the angle, आप उसको कैसे देखते हो, right? Think right, think rationally, and success begins with your thought process. So always you must have the positive thought process. It was rightly said by Vivek Bindra that belief system is having the greatest power which can change the world of person. आपकी जो बिलीफ सिस्टम है, ऐसी एक प्रोसेस है कि अगर आप बिलीव करोगे तो उसको कंसीव करोगे, और कंसीव करोगे तो ही उसको अचीव कर पाओगे, राइट? मेनी टाइम्स इट वाज ऑब्जर्व दैट हम लोग ऐसा ही मान लेते हैं कि भाई ये नहीं होगा या तो नहीं हो सकता है, तो अगर ऐसा आप मान लोगे तो वो नहीं होने वाला है, बट अगर आप मानोगे तो मिरेकल हैपेंस, राइट? And if you want to justify this thought, then you can take the example of the lady who came from UP. आपको शायद मालूम होगा कि वो जो लेडी थी, वो लेडी ट्रेन में से गिर गई थी, उसके दोनों पैर कट चुके थे, लेकिन फिर भी वो माउंट एवरेस्ट को क्लाइम कर चुकी थी. याद है किसी को उसका नाम? किसको उसका नाम याद है? कोई बात नहीं, एक बार गूगल पे सर्च कर लेना. Okay, so how you see the every small thought every small act, and it has the power to create unbelievable huge result, right? So how you are looking towards every small change, every single act, उसको आप कैसे देखते हो, आपका नजरिया कैसा है, उस पर डिपेंड करता है कि आपका माइंडसेट है वो कैसे डेवलप होगा, बराबर? यस, तो दिस वाज द फर्स्ट स्टेप, ओपन योर माइंड, मतलब कि आपका जो माइंडसेट है वो ओपन रखो और पॉजिटिव रखो, right? Then how you are looking towards every single change which have taken place, right? So that will build your mindset, your perception. Then the second step is embrace learning. Embrace learning, right? So what is that? Embrace learning means अभी हम लोग जो कर रहे हैं ना, that is the part of this second step, right? So various types of tools, techniques, and various types of pedagogies are there based on which you can develop your learning attitude, and there are healthy source of information in the library, right? Even you can also apply brainstorming. You can also use various types of resources available at your educational institutions. Even you can also go for the field trip. So there are number of ways by means of which you can gain knowledge in the present scenario. And friends, it was rightly said that knowledge is power, right? And this is the age of information. So if you have information, then and then you can gain knowledge in that particular area, and you can compete in the market, right? So that is right. Second step, the first one is open your mind, then second one is embrace learning, then how you will follow this particular phase, this particular step. So friends, these are some of the steps which are required to be followed by the next generation for getting knowledge or for learning purpose. So the first one is to know about new technologies in your industrial sector, right? We know that on day-to-day basis, on daily basis, various types of changes are there, technological advancement are there, and many times it was observed that the employees are resisting for the updated version of technology or the change which are going to be implemented in the organization. Okay, so tell me when we can say that the organization is in equilibrium. कोई भी organization समतुला में है, equilibrium में है, ऐसा हम कब interpret कर पाएंगे? Any one of you would like to speak on this particular area when we can state that the organization is in equilibrium? कोई बता पाएगा? Anyone?
Relationship between workforce, which means human resource as well as management is good, then organization should be an equilibrium.
Okay. और कोई? It's a very important aspect, right? Equilibrium is very much essential. So friends, whenever we are going to being a manager, whenever we are going to execute any kind of change, and there will be no resistance from the employee side, and easily you'll be able to execute change in your organization, then we can interpret that your organization is in equilibrium, right? And that is based on the learning attitude of the employees, right? और वो लर्निंग एटीट्यूड की वजह से वो लोग जो टेक्नोलॉजी है उसके बारे में कुछ ना, जो नई टेक्नोलॉजी है उसके बारे में नॉलेज गेन करेंगे और जो अपनी स्किल है वो डेवलप करेंगे और वो एडेप्ट करेंगे. So know about new technologies in your industry sector. Then second one, learn how to cut cost while maintaining quality and efficiency. So, friends, uh, cost cutting is very much essential because cost has direct connection with the profit margin, right? So, how to cut the cost is very much essential. And friends, salary of the employee is not the source, right? कि जहाँ पे आप cost cut करने का planning करोगे. Then learn about process improvement. That means here we need to apply the concept of TQM, that is total quality management, and it stands for continuous improvement in the product, process and pedagogies. So what is to be changed, why it is to be changed for the further development is required to be considered, is required to be understood for executing further change, for enhancing the efficiency and productivity. Connect with colleagues who have this kind of vision and learn from them. So friends, when I was pursuing my BCom, my father used to tell me that tell me who are your friends and I will tell you who you are. मतलब आप किनके साथ घूमते हो, आपका सर्कल कैसा है, that matters a lot for your learning, right? So this is what the learning is. So let go of your regret. कई बार क्या है कि मन में बहुत सारे regrets है, right? A regret is simply a mistake. We haven't learned the proper lessons from yet. So just close your eyes for 2 minutes and let go of your regret, right? 2 मिनट के लिए जब भी आप दिन में फ्री हो, 2 मिनट के लिए अपनी आंखें बंद करना और जो भी रिग्रेट आपके मन में है वो सब उसको निकाल देना, बराबर? यस. So face your how you will go for removing your regrets. So face your feelings and acknowledge the hurt. जहाँ पे भी आपको पेन हुआ है, हर्ट हुआ है, वो फीलिंग्स है, उसको याद करो, उसको एक्नॉलेज करो और फिर उसको राइट इट आउट, मतलब इसको एक पेज पे लिखो एंड वाइप आउट. फॉरगिवनेस फ्रीज यू. बहुत सारे लोगों के लिए आपके मन में कुछ ना कुछ ग्रजिस होंगे कि भाई इसने मेरे साथ ये किया, उसने मेरे साथ वो किया, राइट? लेकिन ऐसा कहा गया है कि फॉरगिवनेस फ्रीज यू, मतलब यू विल फील रिलैक्स, राइट? मतलब आप माफ कर दोगे तो आप रिलैक्स हो जाओगे, जो बर्डन होगा दिमाग पे वो निकल जाएगा और ब्लड प्रेशर नहीं आएगा, राइट? सो दैट इज द प्लस पॉइंट. फॉरगिवनेस फ्रीज यू. देन फाइट योरसेल्फ फ्रॉम टेलिंग द स्टोरी रिपीटेडली, बराबर? जो अलग अलग स्टोरी है जो आपके साथ एक्सपीरियंसेस हुए हैं वो दिमाग में आप याद करो, जिसके बेस पे आप कुछ ना कुछ नया लर्न कर पाओगे और याद भी कर पाओगे. देन फोकस ऑन मूविंग ऑन एंड सेट योरसेल्फ फ्री. आगे बढ़ो, जहां पे हो वहां से आगे बढ़ो. सो दीज ऑल आर दी स्टेप्स व्हिच कैन बी फॉलोड फॉर removing the regrets. So friends, what is my opinion, what I personally believe is shut the past, cut the future and live in present to live successfully, right? आराम से जीने के लिए, बिना टेंशन लिए जीने के लिए. देखो अभी एक जो प्रॉब्लम है वो क्या है कि योर इम्यून सिस्टम, योर हेल्थ, राइट, वो भी एक इश्यू है जो ये अभी जो पैंडेमिक के चलते हमने जो ऑब्जर्व किया है वो, राइट? और अगर ये प्रिंसिपल आप फॉलो करोगे, शट द पास्ट, कट द फ्यूचर एंड लिव इन प्रेजेंट, तो क्या होगा कि आप पे कोई प्रेशर नहीं रहेगा और आप हैप्पीली अपनी लाइफ को स्पेंड कर पाओगे, जिसकी वजह से जो लाइफ लॉन्ग डिसीज है वो भी आपकी बॉडी में एंटर नहीं होंगे. सो दैट इज व्हाई व्हाट आई सजेस्ट यू दैट शट द पास्ट, कट द फ्यूचर एंड लिव इन प्रेजेंट. So nothing will change until you take risk and conquer your fear. Your first step is to leave your comfort zone. जब तक आप अपने कंफर्ट जोन से बाहर नहीं निकलोगे। ये बात तो आपने बहुत बार सुनी होगी, कितने भी एक्सपर्ट आए होंगे आपकी लाइफ में, वो सबने एक आध बार तो ये बात कही होगी, और वो बात सही है, राइट। सो नथिंग विल चेंज अंटिल यू टेक रिस्क एंड कॉन्कर योर फियर। हमें मालूम है कि भाई व्हाट इज द फीचर ऑफ दिस ईगल। वो जब भी बादल होते हैं तो उसके ऊपर से निकल जाते हैं, मतलब उसके जो हर्डल्स है वो सब नीचे रह जाते हैं, राइट। तो दैट इज टू बी लर्न फ्रॉम द ईगल। सो फ्रेंड्स, टेक रिस्क, वो आपने डायलॉग भी सुना होगा कि रिस्क है तो इश्क है, बराबर। अभी जो रिसेंट मूवी आया था उसमें, सो फोर्स योरसेल्फ टू टेक अ रिस्क, बिकॉज फ्रेंड, was rightly said by someone that when there is no challenges, no success, मतलब NO, no challenges, then there will be no success, but uh, to no challenge to no success, KNOW, अगर challenges को face करोगे तो ही आप सक्सेस अचीव कर पाओगे। तो टेकिंग रिस्क इज की पार्ट ऑफ बीइंग एडेप्टेबल। हमें कई बार क्या होता क्या है कि हम लोग हमारा फर्स्ट स्टेप है वही नहीं लेते, व्हाई? बिकॉज वी हैव अ फियर ऑफ फेलियर, राइट। तो उसकी वजह से हम लोग आगे ही नहीं बढ़ पाते। दैट इज व्हाई टेकिंग रिस्क इज वेरी मच एसेंशियल एंड इट इज अ की पार्ट ऑफ बीइंग एडेप्टेबल। अगर आपको एडेप्टेबल बनना है तो सबसे पहले आपको रिस्क लेना होगा, उसका एक्सपीरियंस करना पड़ेगा। डिस्कस रिस्क टेकिंग एज अ पार्ट ऑफ टीम मीटिंग। जब भी आपकी टीम की जो मीटिंग होती है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, अगर आपको आपकी प्रोफेशनल करियर में आप आगे बढ़ रहे हो, तब आपकी टीम है उसके साथ आपको ये रिस्क टेकिंग, कुछ नया करने का रिस्क लेने की एक मीटिंग आपको करनी चाहिए। उसको कैसे आपको एग्जीक्यूट करना है, ये जितने भी उसके एस्पेक्ट्स है वो सब आपको डिस्कस करने चाहिए, राइट। सो दैट इज व्हाई टेकिंग रिस्क इज वेरी मच एसेंशियल फॉर बीइंग एडेप्टेबल। सो लाइफ बिगिंस एट द एंड ऑफ योर कंफर्ट जोन। कई बार होता क्या है कि हम लोग शुरुआत ही नहीं करते हैं, क्यों? क्योंकि हमें एक फियर है। शुरुआत करोगे तो आप आगे बढ़ पाओगे। आपने शायद सुना होगा कि एक बार वो धीरू भाई अंबानी है, उनके इंटरव्यू में किसी ने क्वेश्चन किया था कि भाई आपकी सक्सेस का राज क्या है। तब उन्होंने बोला था कि भाई जब मेरा ड्राइवर गाड़ी चला रहा होता है तो अगर आगे कोई धुआं या कुछ भी है तो सब गाड़ी वहां पे रुक जाती है, राइट। क्यों? वो इंतजार करती है कि भाई वो जो डिजास्टर है वो वहां से हट जाए और उसके बाद हम आगे बढ़ेंगे। लेकिन मैं अपने ड्राइवर को ऐसा बोलता हूँ कि भाई धीरे धीरे करके अपनी जो कार है उसको आगे बढ़ाओ, राइट। सो दैट इज व्हाट द सस्टेनेबिलिटी, राइट। स्लो एंड स्टेडी विंस द रेस, बट व्हाट इज रिक्वायर्ड टू स्टेप अहेड। एक स्टेप आपको आगे बढ़ाना है एंड you need to come out from your comfort zone, because it is rightly said that life begins at the end of your comfort zone, and these are the 7 steps to get out of the comfort zone, right। हम जंप लगा करके बाहर नहीं निकल सकते, बट ये स्टेप्स है उसको फॉलो करके ग्रेजुअली कंफर्ट जोन में से बाहर निकल सकते हैं। So for example, the first one is get information. What is that? The first most important thing is that we need to collect all the information. Based on that, we will be able to develop knowledge. We will be able to gain knowledge, and based on that knowledge, we can come forward, right? Then the next one is have a plan, right? So a wish without plan is just a wish, right? So plan zaruri hai. We must have strategy. So once we have gained knowledge, based on that knowledge, we should be able to develop a plan, policy, and strategies to move forward, right? Then the another step is to hold yourself accountable, right? This is what we can say sense of responsibility, which is very much essential and which is in scarce in the today's generation, right? ये होनी चाहिए sense of responsibility. Hold yourself accountable. Then take a baby steps. Small steps आपको लेने चाहिए. Then aggressively challenge your comfort zone. Then remain positive and try something new until you feel comfortable. और कंफर्टेबल फील करो उसके बाद भी आपको आगे बढ़ते ही रहना है। वो जो कंफर्ट जोन आप डेवलप कर रहे हो, वो जैसे कृष्ण भगवान ने एक बार बोला था कि अगर खुद की द्वारिका बनानी है तो जीती हुई मथुरा छोड़नी पड़ेगी, राइट? तो वो हमें सीखना है। सो फ्रेंड्स, इन आवर लाइफ चेंज इज अनअवॉइडेबल, loss is unavoidable. In the adaptability and ease with which we experience change lies our happiness and freedom, right? It was said by Gautam Buddha. So this is what is required to be understood. So friends, here I would like to uh, ask you about any query, because I have concluded the presentation. So that's all from my side. What I would like to submit regarding the adaptability to change, the relevance, what to change, how to change, and why to change. Right? So if you have any query, any question, then you may raise your voice. We have 5 minutes to discuss about the questions. So if you want to ask any question, otherwise this session is hand over to the Arpan sir.
Okay, thank you, Jaimin sir. Students, is there any query? Okay. It is very well informative knowledge has been shared by Jaimin sir. I, Arpan Patel, on behalf of Parul University, I would like to thank Dr. Jaimin Trivedi sir for imparting such informative knowledge, and we will such grateful for having such knowledge. For further, we also like to have such knowledge in future concerns also. Up to now, we would like to have a permission to conclude our webinar. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Arpan sir, and give my regards to the management. Thank you.
Definitely, sir. Thank you, sir.